probably make a lot of money off of that
Yeah,
because
for
we
sure.
don't
I
have any
mean,
clocks right
yeah, like
now.
right now, the best option that's easily accessible is the Ling clock, which is,
Hmm.
I mean, very low quality. But I think the companies like they don't really want to release something that's just like okay, if you know what I mean. Like they really want to just
Yeah.
like release a product that they could be proud of, easily just beaten. You know,
Hmm. Do you think it
like
would become a more popular event in the WCA?
if there was better hardware that was more easily accessible, I think it would for sure be become more popular, just like we saw with Square One.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes, definitely. Now, vending at competitions, is this something you really enjoy?
yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. You get to interact with kind more people than I guess you would if you were just attending an event. Um, in the sense that when I'm attending a competition for fun, I tend to just kind of hang around with people I already know, which is not the best thing to do, but I think it just kind of it's just like a byproduct, I guess, of doing it for a while. You just kind of get comfortable with a few people and you just kind of stick with them. It's definitely harder to meet people like who if it's their first event or something like that. Um, but when you're vending, since you're just kind of in a spot, I feel like, especially if it's your first event, you might feel more intimidated to talk to someone new, especially
Hmm.
if you're younger. But at a vending table, they kind of, how do I put this? Kind of like have a reason to, like for them to spur them to interacting with you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, and so it definitely helps different people. And yeah, I think that's probably the best part.
Now, when you're vending at competitions, do you usually compete at those as well?
Yeah. I think only one time I didn't. That was just because I didn't register on time.
Hmm.
Um, but usually if like everyone that's vending is going to be competing, we'll just ask to like be put in different groups or something.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So one person in group one person in like group four, whatever.
And I think the WCA just came out with a new tool for organizers to do this, so they can put staff in different rounds, so there's always
Uh-huh.
somebody to scramble.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't think that was released by the WCA actually. I think it was just released by some like guy. You're talking about Group of Fire, right?
Oh, was it just released? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, I think it was released earlier this year.
Okay, maybe it's someone who works for Cubing USA or is with them. I'm not
Yeah,
sure. Okay,
I'm not totally
that
sure either.
that that
But yeah,
must that
I,
must
th
be
I
it.
think I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Uh huh.
it definitely saves a lot of time for organizers. I've used it once myself.
Okay. Uh huh. Now, do you have a favorite vending story you would like to share?
Let me think of an interesting story. They're all pretty similar in the sense that you just kind of meet some people you didn't know before. And
Maybe
funny
something
thing,
funny that happened. Yeah.
yeah, think of that happened. One of the people who helps me out, his name's Connor Reed. He lives in Connecticut. Um, this kid kind of just played a practical joke on him. We were vending at a competition, I think in Texas. Um, so this kid, the the like things that GAN gives out with their keeps.
The what exactly? The card or
Yeah, they had the card itself.
yes. Uh huh.
So this kid just kind of made a joke with Connor. He was like, he had Connor fetch a bunch of different, items that he was interested in purchasing, and then when Connor was like, okay, he got him, and then how he would want it to pay if he wanted to pay by card or by cash or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the kid said, I want to pay with this card, and he handed him the GAN card. And I think we all thought it was probably more of like a joke at first, and it was. And then Connor, he just kind of laughed a bit and said, "Okay, like, how do you want to pay?" Like for, and then the kid was like, "I don't actually have any money. It was just a joke. Thanks for being a good sport." And I had a pretty big laugh at Connor's expense, but he was definitely not as happy about it.
I can see that, but from the outside, it definitely is funny.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy doing in your free time?
I've been trying to read more this year. Just kind of like on average a book a week. a little bit behind that schedule, but I'm trying. Um, I spent a lot of time watching like YouTube videos and stuff like that. Um, I'm tracking practice a little bit more this year too, especially for 5x5.
Is that your favorite event?
I'd say so for sure right now. Um, a couple of my friends and I, we decided at the beginning of this year that we're gonna kind of be doing like packed in a sense where we're all doing 200 5x5. So, and kind of the first person to mess it up, I guess, has to buy dinner for everybody. So we're going through that. So I've barely been managing to keep up with that. Definitely doing a lot of solves on like Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
But we're definitely noticing a lot of improvements in it, which is right now.
What are you averaging?
Recently, I don't know, let me see. I just got a 111 average of 100 last week, so I'd say
Sweet.
probably around right now. Yeah,
That's great.
it's probably at 116-ish to begin the year, so yeah, pretty noticeable improvement there.
Mm-hmm. That's fun. Now, with the Valk Power release just after Black Friday, I think it was, did you see, like, is this a popular cube? It seems like to me it was hyped a little more than it actually is. Like,
Yeah,
how good
I
it
think
is.
it's definitely a pretty popular cube, and it's definitely a lot of cubers like it. I think a lot of people just kind of had the wrong idea about what the cube was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like normally when you release like, for example, a version 2 of the cube, it's kind of expected to be like just like an upgrade, you know?
Yeah.
Versus the Valk Power, I think especially with the naming of it, they didn't want to call it the Valk 2 or something. It's really meant to be like the same performance but with a different feel. And so I think a lot of competitors and people who are buying the cube were disappointed that it wasn't better than the original Valk. They kind of went into it with the wrong expectation. It was people who liked the performance of the Valk but didn't like how it felt.
Mm.
And so they wanted to put a different option out for those people.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. And the Valk is actually a decent cube. Like, the Valk GTS2 and SM are all
Yeah, they're all
great
still top
cubes.
at that for sure.
So you're just kind of adding to the mix with the Valk Power.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have a favorite all-time story from the history of Cube Depot? Any time in the past 10 years, 8 years, 8 or 9 years?
Favorite story?
Favorite story, experience, or really anything?
Yeah. I guess the favorite experience right now related to it is that I'm getting to go around and meet cubers kind of from different areas now, spending more around the country, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I've only got to see people from like California or something, since I'm based in New York. Like really just at like nationals or other big comps like that, Worlds or something. Versus now, it definitely you get to see them more often because sometimes seeing someone once a year is definitely makes you miss them a lot more than when you get to see them more often.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess I would probably say that I definitely got to make a lot more friends that don't live in the Northeast area and don't attend the local comps here.
Yeah, that's great. Can you give any hints or announcements on upcoming sales or special things that are happening with Cube Depot?
Mm-hmm. We should be having a few more rocket cubes come out. Probably around the end of this week or maybe the middle of this week. Hopefully by Thursday. We should have 2 more cubes being released as with rocket and magnetic rocket versions.
Mm-hmm.
And then there will be a special launch sale for those products.
Awesome.
Or I guess they might be released by the time this podcast comes out, whenever that is.
Yeah, they probably will go out right about the same time.
Awesome. Okay.
So, is there
Well,
anything else you would like to say before we wrap this interview up?
um, I just want to say again, thanks for having me. This was actually a lot of fun thinking back on, I guess it's just not something you really think about every day, but when someone asks you about it, it's fun to think back on, favorite memories or stories and stuff like that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I had a fun time talking with Eric, and if you plan on ordering from Cube Depot, please use my promo code CornerCutter at checkout to get 5% off your order. I'll talk more about this next week, but you can also use the promo code CornerCutter at thecubicle.us to get 5% off your order. And that's a big support to the show as well. So we've got the 3 major Cube shops now. The Cubicle, Speed Cube Shop, and Cube Depot USA. Well, I'm Josh. I think it's time to take this episode back to the scrambling table, and I'll talk to you again next week on episode 31 of the Corner Cutter Podcast. Thank you again, guys, for listening.